At the very least, we've got to see requirements for stiff penalties, not just something that in some cases we've seen tech companies just see penalties as the cost of doing business. We've seen that, for example, with antitrust or competition law in other parts of the world like the United States, and that can't be the case here.
The rollout of artificial intelligence has been called the next great industrial revolution. But instead of years, it's bringing sweeping changes to the economy in just months. With the government criticised for being a soft touch on regulation, the Prime Minister has announced the establishment of the Office of Artificial Intelligence, setting out national standards on AI and putting multinationals on notice over social licence, copyright and data centres.
We cannot settle for a short-term boom in capital expenditure and construction. We must create a new generation of good, secure jobs for our economy. And while the world is looking to us, we know it won't wait for us. If we hang back or stand still, this will just run right over the top of us.
It comes on the same day Microsoft founder Bill Gates backed a call from 16 Nobel laureates for more urgent action to prepare for the economic impacts of rapidly advancing artificial intelligence. In a moment, we'll speak to the co-director of the Human Technology Institute from UTS, Ed Santow. But first, I asked Belinda Dennett, the Chief Executive of lobby group Data Centres Australia, whether today's announcement shows the industry is failing not only community but government expectations.
I think what we've seen around the world is concerns around the scale and the speed at which data centre infrastructure is being built. And there's a lack of, awareness of why that is and what's driving it. So I think part of this is being very clear about what data centre operators and their customers need to do in terms of adding renewable energy to the mix, not being a taker, paying their own way. We support all of that. It's something our members certainly believe they're already doing. Making sure that it's very clear to the rest of the community that that's what's happening is something we welcome.
The PM said that these rules will ensure that businesses and households aren't sharing future utility costs for data centres. Surely that means that households and businesses are to some extent paying those costs right now.
Well, there's not been evidence of that. Why would
the Prime Minister say that?
I think he wants to make sure that people are aware that there isn't that impact on energy bills. The Australian Energy Regulator has recently put out determinations that the network cost component of a household power bill is coming down because of the investment data centre operators are making in the energy infrastructure. The energy companies themselves have given evidence that it's a user-pays system.
And so does that mean the imposition of these new rules actually won't really matter that much to the data centre industry as it stands and the way that it seeks to get new data centres approved and established?
I don't think so. I think it certainly is formulating strong rules around what is required. Currently, data centre operators are leaning into the sustainability aspect, voluntarily offsetting their energy use.
But is that an acknowledgement that they're not entirely fulfilling community and government expectations?
Well, I think there is an awareness gap. I think there's more that can be done. I think our members would like to do more in terms of meeting 100% renewable energy offsets as opposed to the current 70%. And so we welcome the clarity from government that this is required, not just of our members, but of all people. There's a lot of new players in this market and it sets a level playing field.
Industry professor from Sydney's UTS, Ed Santow, says getting regulation right on data centres is a sign of their importance to Australia's economic future.
The bargain that the Prime Minister laid out is that there'll be a much swifter process for approving data centres, and on the flip side, their expectation, which will be mandatory, is that there will be kind of no additional draw from our national energy grid, and we'll also be very, very carefully stewarding water. There are some other really important details that are yet to be laid out, but those two are kind of the headline commitments.
And is the emphasis on data centres that we've seen from the Prime Minister today a signal of how important they are to Australia's future and the drive to increase productivity?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to find a place in the kind of AI value chain where Australia can actually be a global player. And what the Prime Minister has said today is that that place starts at least with data centres. So that's not just about kind of servicing Australia's own needs, it's getting involved in the kind of training of those unimaginably vast AI models that those ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude and so on are based on. And
so you do see frontier AI being hosted in Australia?
Yeah, that's exactly what will happen if this ambition is realised.
The Prime Minister sought to convey the message that the Australian government has been tough on tech when it comes to regulating social media, even though the teen social media ban has recently been found to be ineffective. Is the government setting the terms to make sure Australians don't suffer harms at the hands of AI?
Look, I think the government has been pretty good at setting out what their expectations are. But an expectation without any enforcement, it's not a rule, it's just a good idea. And so now we must be getting into the business of making those rules stick. And so if you have very, very low compliance when it comes to these new rules for data centres, then Australians are absolutely going to lose out. On the flip side, if we can get the compliance right, and we get the rules right, then Australia really can be a leader in this space.
Okay, so you're saying we do need to have penalties for AI players doing the wrong thing?
Yeah, I mean, we've already got data centre expectations. What the Prime Minister said today is that's not enough. We need to actually turn those expectations into hard law. He's committed to introducing that hard law early next year. And so unless there's proper compliance with enforcement, then it's not law at all.
Have you any idea what those penalties should look like?
Well, I think that needs to be worked through. I think that at the very least, we've got to see requirements for stiff penalties, not just something that in some cases we've seen tech companies just see penalties as the cost of doing business. We've seen that, for example, with antitrust or competition law in other parts of the world like the United States. And that can't be the case here. This has got to be something where if the penalty is proportionate to the harm, then that's the only way forward.
Is it imperative that the government moves now? Is the economic window to capture the most gains closing?
I think the Prime Minister is right that now is the moment for us to make a move. That doesn't mean any move is the right move. And so the government is taking a risk here. It's saying, well, we really think that data centres is where the opportunity lies. And we've got to see how that vision actually comes to life.
And so does that put pressure on the government in terms of holding the line on copyright? Anthony Albanese sought to make the point that Australia's sovereignty is not up for sale.
Yeah, it was surprising how strong he was in kind of defending the rights of copyright holders and the creative sector. I was pleased to see that. But we do know that that is one of the major sticking points from the tech industry in kind of making that investment here in Australia.
Okay. Ed Santow, good to speak to you.
Thank you.